Welcome to Grief, Silver Lining, and Other Shit with Courtney.
And Lynn.
And we're doing something different today. We have a virtual record, which we have not really done before, but we are trying to figure this out so that we can interview other people and, be in the same room with whoever we want to be whenever we want to be. So we are trying to kind of do a little test run between the two of us and see how it goes with editing and all of that so that we can perfect our skills. so,
First skills, because I
my,
have nothing to do with that part.
yeah, I'm the editor, producer. It's really a sad production. Um, which is also why we're not sure if, our other recording device is even going to pick up Lynn. Here's to hoping. Um, so we feel like we've been working on an episode for a while now, and it's more urgent than ever. And we wanted to come to you any way we could just to kind of talk about what's going on. Um, we're all pretty aware that the world is pretty scary right now, and that it gets scarier by the day.
Huh?
Um, we're all really unsure of the future. And this is not just locally, it's globally. I mean, most places, except for them
Right.
lucky sons of bitches who live on an island and threaten to kill anybody who comes on their island. You know those people? They just are all by themselves, don't have to deal with society. But um, the negative energy is out of control. It's in a rapid spiral
Right.
of chaos, mass confusion, and creating anxiety, uncertainty, depression. Just everybody's dealing with a lot of things in their personal life on top of the world
Global. Yeah.
globally. So we've talked about this before, but we wanted to make a video specifically about what can we do. And we still believe that the only thing we can do is work on ourselves personally. Also, encouraging those around us to do the same. Um, and I don't think there's much more time to get on board. Like,
Right.
it's now or never really in personal growth is the path that we have chosen. Um, because it seems to be the only path that provides any peace. So, go ahead.
Um, I was just gonna say, everyone always just tells you you can't control anything in the world but yourself. So we can contribute is to work on ourselves.
Right, like to the collective
Right.
good. Um, and I believe that it's, a lot of people think that it's taking care of your physical self. A lot of people choose to just live in the taking care of your mental health. But we really think that obviously they're both important, but mental health leads to spiritual health. when you
Right.
want. It should. It should. There's a lot of doctors out there who will medicate you and make your problems go away temporarily, cover them, mask them. They're going to erupt at some point. But mental health should equal spiritual health. I feel like spiritual health is a path to heal mental health.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go to church and that's their spiritual experience. And that, if that works for you and you interpret everything we say as praying and, you know, you're still kind to your community and you're still like trying to be the best human you can and that's what works for you, that's great. But there's so many of us out there that like church doesn't work for, or you know what I mean, the Bible doesn't work for, and I'm not going to get into my views on that. I just feel like everybody needs to find what works for them, and there's a lot of lost people out there.
For sure.
For sure. So, um, I think that the goal, so many people think the goal is to feel good all the time, and that's not the goal. The goal is to get better at feeling. So, like when you have a low, you learn how to ride that wave out better. When you have a high, you learn how to balance that with the low and be appreciative of the high. And
Right.
so many people go to like mental health workers and everything and want to feel good all the time. And that's really just numb. That's like a numb choice. And numb doesn't work long term.
No.
So when we talk about these things, like you're asked to have an open mind. Like the brain shuts off a lot of what your body feels and you reason it away and you think that, you know, something else is wrong with you, or you just ignore what's going on in your soul. And I'm pretty sure it's the most important part.
Oh, it is.
So, what?
It definitely is.
So,
I,
go ahead. I'm not trying to override you. I feel like I
I
talk too
just,
much.
some people feel like, well, the world keeps pushing down, and they feel like it's always like positive around them because they don't know how to handle all of the hard stuff that's thrown at them. So, like, as soon as the first bad thing that happens to them, they collapse and they lose it again. It's like a
Right.
spiral. Like, why is bad things keep happening? But you can't stop the happening. You have to learn to deal with them in a different manner so it doesn't make you spiral downward in a
Coping mechanisms.
right.
You need coping mechanisms to, you better beef up your coping mechanisms because the world is not great and I don't think it's going to get better before it gets worse.
Right.
And there's a lot of like benefit from having good coping mechanisms. Like you're able to process things, you're able to see them for what they are. You are not going to be as affected daily by everything around you and just the irritating. And sometimes you have to choose to ignore things and you have to check yourself. Um, but really, like, there's not a whole lot an individual can do for this world, you know, just an average person. There's nothing else you have to do. There's nothing more important than working on yourself right now,
Right.
spiritually. Like, get right. And I'm not saying get right with God because I don't necessarily believe with that, but like in that, but like get right mentally healthy. Like, okay, so I'm to the point, and if you're watching this, you probably know me. I'm to the point where I can't be in a room with somebody where they're just talking artificial shit or superficial or they're fake or they're like somebody who doesn't grow and are talking about the same thing for the last 20 years. Like, it's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And the energy that people are putting into negativity could be used for so much more. For so much more. And obviously, our way isn't going to be the way for everybody. Like I said, we all call things the same, different things, but it feels the same.
Right.
It's whatever's true to you. But we kind of wanted to talk. Oh, let's start with this. Okay, so I'm just looking at my notes over here. Because let me just say to everybody that we were going to tape an episode while we were on Girls' Weekend, and we were ill-equipped for that. We did record a little bonus content, and I'll include that at the end of this episode, but we took notes on this and we were ready for it, but we ended up just having too much fun on a girls' trip and didn't record properly. So, and look at my notes here. So, one of the things we want to talk about is a lot of people who have watched our podcast have been to our therapist, Tammy. And I've had some realizations in talking to some people, and like, she's a little bit spiritually kind of hippie over people's heads. And so I kind of want to break down what I think she does versus what other, like, society therapists do. So I realized that when you go to a therapist, you tell your story and you're like talking about your problems. And I really think that, like, they validate your victimhood. And they're like, oh, yes, like, you are a victim. So much stuff has happened to you. And, like, I'm sorry for that. Here's a pill. Or, you know what I mean? Like, they're not really giving you anything that you can do when you're having a panic attack. Like, obviously, I've only been to one therapist in my whole life, and it's Tammy, and she's right up my alley. But I think that a lot of people feel like they're supposed to go in there and be validated.
Right.
Tammy's not doing that. Tammy's like, yeah, nice story. How does that make you feel? Where in your body do you feel that? Do you feel it like just this rock or like this swallow that you can't? Where does it hurt you?
In your body, physically.
Physically, where do you feel it? Not your feelings, which I wanted to say I have written down that I'm mad about the word feelings and the word feel because I feel most people use this mechanism up here to come up with their feelings. And I think they should be like your thinkings, your thoughts.
Your thoughts.
My thinkings, like, it's not. Feel should be like, ow, I poked myself in the eye, or ow, my soul hurts, and that's what I can't swallow around.
Right.
Because I'm storing something there. So, because of the hippie-esque therapy that Tammy's doing, and I say hippie-esque because that's when like people are having a hard time swallowing, is that it's more astros. I don't know what the word is.
No.
Astroteric. I don't know. Like, it's not traditional, and I think that people can't shut their brains off enough to register that, oh, that feeling inside of me flares up when I think about this subject.
Right.
Oh, they don't correlate the two. They're like, oh, I don't feel really good. My stomach kind of hurts. Couldn't be because you're just crying over, you know what I mean? Like, you have this other thing. So it's really targeting where you store this energy in your body. Like, where it has imprinted, and where you store it is the only way I can explain it. Like when, go ahead.
But we also need to explain what energy is, because sometimes people are lost at the word, like they get stuck at that word energy. Well, what is energy? You know?
It's it's in every one of your cells. It's you have an electromagnetic pulse in your body, and it runs through every fiber of everybody's being. And it's God energy, it's universe energy, it's eternal energy. That there's never any energy created for a new life. It's
It's up there.
it's repackaged and put into you. And
Right.
you when you die, you just reform your energy again. It doesn't get deleted. It's just all in different shapes and forms, and every one of your cells has that charge that was put into your body so that your body could be alive.
Right.
And I don't it's really hard to explain to somebody who, like, I don't know how I would have understood it before I did this kind of work.
Right.
So we've talked about Reiki before, and that can help you discover your energy. There are plenty of guided Reiki meditations on YouTube.
Yeah.
The main thing I find to feel my energy. So here's what I do when I'm in bed. You can use frequency music by all means. We both listen to, it's just instrumental, but it's at a certain frequency to make you feel peaceful, calm. The main obstacle is your brain. So if you can have something playing like a guided meditation or something in the background, you can refocus your brain on that. You can keep going back to that instead of wandering off to what you didn't buy at the grocery store or whatever you have something like, oh, I wandered off, I go back to that. Go back to that, because that's how you train your brain to shut off, is having something to keep going back to. So I lay in bed and I get as comfortable as I can be. And when I say that, like, on my back, I prefer it on my back. Sometimes there's a pillow under my knees. Sometimes there's a butt cheek that you gotta pull out. Like, you want to get all the kinks out of your muscles. You want to get, like, all your limbs into a place where you're like, oh, that feels good. You want to just shake it all out. And the Reiki master that we saw teaches you to imagine. Let's use common folk word. Imagine. I mean, she's done a couple different things with me. I don't. Maybe you can share some of the things that she's done with you. Imagine you have like a tulip in your crown chakra, and it just opens up, and you can pour your energy into it. Everything just comes down into it. She said, imagine that there's like a pot above you, or no, but like a pot of gold liquid, and you're just pouring the gold liquid into yourself. Imagine, like, if you get a spot where, and you're like, and you're imagining you're pouring gold liquid all inside your body, and you feel a spot that doesn't really want to, like, accept it. Imagine that there's a sun there, a starburst. Warm that shoulder, whatever spot it is. Or shoot a hose through it. Imagine that, like, the gold liquid is like hose, forcing it down, like coming out of a hose, like there's pressure.
Right.
Go ahead.
She actually had us, or me and Chris, do, like, give it a color. Like, if there's a blockage there, give it a color, and then add colors to it to change it. And that sometimes helps to melt it to where it actually helps that go through.
Right. Golden light, white light, pink light.
Right.
It's most
Like if
likely
you want to switch it to pink, so you think of like a white light lighting that color up and turning it to your
it's
favorite.
most likely black or gray.
Right.
You know, whatever's stuck inside you. What?
Have pain, sometimes it gives it a color of like a dark red, like,
Okay, yeah.
well, you know.
Yeah. So I've tried to imagine that it's just dripping all the way in. Whatever color molten lava you're pouring through your crown chakra on the top of your head, imagine it's just coming through your body and it's like filling your body up. Use your imagination for it. That's exactly like how it works. You're comfortable. There's not a knot in your back. There's not anything physically in the way. And just imagine that you're filling your body with light, with love, with golden God, whatever you want to call it. What? What'd you say?
Sunshine. That's
Sunshine.
sunshine.
Sunshine. Um, the hardest thing is to shut off your brain. So, guided meditation, frequency music, something that is neutral or a high resonance, not neutral, but like a higher resonance that you can refocus on. Reiki is R-E-I. No, yeah, R-E-I-K-I.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can look that up on YouTube. And it really, that helped me jumpstart into being able to feel myself. And I feel like once you, I mean, you could search out practitioners for it too. But once you know how to move your energy and you recognize, oh, that I knew that feeling, but I didn't know, like, when your energy's back in your body and fully loaded into your toes, it feels different. Almost like your foot's asleep, kind of like it feels tingly. You feel it's something that we have not been paying attention to for centuries now. Like, I feel like it's part of the Native American way. I feel like it's part of the natural way of life. Like, that has been deleted. Like, I feel like it's a secret superpower and people don't want you to know.
Yeah.
Because it makes me feel good. Um, but you have to want to change. And, like, without wanting to change and, like, admitting your problems and admitting that, like, you don't want that there anymore. Like, once you just decided that you feel like shit enough and you're willing to try anything, what sounds like non-traditional therapy is worth a shot. Like, even if you don't believe in energy work and you're like, oh, this is dumb. Like, I had a friend tell me about EMDR. She went to see Tammy and she said, I don't know why that worked or how that worked, but it worked. So I don't think that even if you don't totally like love the idea of energy work or you think that it's crazy, it's definitely worth a shot. And just wanting to be better, a better human, feeling better, not feeling like your emotions are crushing your soul, feels really good. It feels really good. But you have to learn how to focus. Focus on being better.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
And this day, they all the have to do, we forget to focus. We're on autopilot.
Well, that brings me to another thing I wrote down that says pay attention to your attention. Like, pick and choose where you want to put your attention and how much energy you want to put into something. Like, I don't want to put energy into any human that doesn't really want to evolve. Like, if it's a human who's stagnant and been the same for, a decade or more, I'm kind of good. Like, unless you are on the precipice of change and you're like ready to like try and be your best person, it's exhausting. It's exhausting to pretend that people are okay when they're not. Like, I can't just like look at somebody and not be like, oh God, you need some help, Like, so, but I can't put my energy into people who don't want to be better. And the same with you can't be overwhelmed by the news and the things that they're talking about are happening all over the world. And there's more happening than you even know because, there's just certain things portrayed on the TVs in America. And we have to not be overwhelmed by it. We have to focus, keep our attention where we want it, and remember that you draw experiences to you that you need. And you need to see what the lesson is. Like, you need to see where that learning is occurring in the lesson. I do believe that the universe sends you the same shit over and over again until you get it right. I think that people think their lives are miserable and complain all the time, and I think that it's partially because they complain all the time. I think that if you have more positive words around what you want to achieve, if you have more forgiveness for yourself for not being perfect, you just have to really want it. Don't you think?
Yeah. I know
What?
there's always I have people in my life. I want it more for them than they want it for themselves. And that's hard to work through in my own brain too, because then I'm putting too much energy into other people that just don't want to put the time in, They don't.
Right. But I mean, there is a thing about leading by example, by you doing it and being better and elevating your own mind frame. It helps others around you. But it's definitely a thing of like when people aren't on board and they're people you love and you see them flailing, you can only put in so much energy to that.
Right.
Trust me, being Captain Save-A-Ho is exhausting. And it's either you want to be better or you don't. Stop complaining if you make the same mistakes. If you're not willing to get your shit together for yourself and you just anxiety is so much energy. Like the energy that you use to be anxious is like a lot. It's like it's a lot of expenditure of energy over probably something you can't fucking control. And if you put that energy into how can I be a little bit better and how do I make this go away? And that's why I feel like we didn't even touch on EMDR yet. Like that's the kind of the holy grail. Like to me, I knew what my own energy felt like and I knew that there was blocks and stuff. But I feel like the things that were majorly wrong with me, I could kind of slip energy around it. It was still there. Like I could feel my body, but it would still be in the center of me. Like my trauma from my sister or whatever. Like I felt like I stored that majorly, and even though I was processing the emotions, like it was still there. And EMDR, I feel like, is so simple, and you don't know how it works or why it's gonna work or Here's the hoping, right? I mean, I thought this was stupid. Did you not? Like, kind of think it was kind of dumb?
Well, yeah, I didn't think that something that simple would make a huge impact the way it did.
Right. And I had done it quite a ways before you. And, like, I think, okay, so when I got it done, it was in, like, quarantine, and I did it via virtual, and it still works virtual, but you got to overcome your mind and listen to her. You got to pay attention to your practitioner and know that you're focusing on their words and doing what they tell you to do, and keep your focus is key. So I think it wasn't until I went through an anniversary of, like, my trauma and already having had done that I realized how much different I felt.
Yeah.
Like, how much, like, I had to go through life. Like, I felt better when it happened, but I had to, like, go through life and have, like, some anniversaries and some, times when I would feel upset, some triggers or whatever, and my body felt different. You know what I mean? It was over the long term that I saw it.
Right.
And that, in conjunction with, like, Reiki practicing, gives you a coping tool. It gives you a tool to cope. Meditation. Everybody says, oh, I can't turn my mind off enough to meditate. That's the fucking point. Look in the camera. That's the point, is turning your brain off. It's an exercise in doing that. Oh, my muscle can't. What?
You're not right away how to do it. That's the whole point of doing it as like repetition is
Right.
correct and
I was going to say, oh, I can't pick up this weight. It's too heavy. Well, yeah, because
right.
you're supposed to practice, you idiot.
Right. You're not
So,
just sit down and do it. It's gonna take a while to get.
yeah. But I believe that everybody's capable of it.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like it can fix a lot of your issues. It steps you out of society a bit to where you're like, oh, I see what that person's problem is. They're just letting that situation flare up. You can see energy move around a room. Okay, so real quick, I was out one night with a group of friends, my husband, a couple, and then my husband's sister and one of her friends. And we left the place we were at, and we walked to a bar, and the waitress, or the bartender, was kind of shitty. To me, actually, it was to me. And I didn't really fucking care because I am who I am, and I was just like, oh, whatever. And she was actually shitty to me over my order. And was like, oh, I haven't made one of those in a long time. Like, whatever. I don't care. Just make it. Whatever. I ordered it. And the one of the girls we're with is a server and was highly offended by this broad's attitude. And she was just like, what a bitch. What a bitch. And, like, is that how you treat customers? So when we walk out of this establishment, we have one drink because we're like, not our scene. Let's go somewhere else, right? So we walk out, and she's got the attitude, the girl that's with us. And I can see that she's now flared up, right? So they come out, we all come out, and she exchanges with her significant other. And I see him catch it. She kind of at him, and she feels better now. But now he's being a jerk. So we continue to walk, and the walk is quite a bit, right? And at one point, he starts being shitty to me. So, and maybe I did see how it exchanged, and I knew I had it, and my husband looks at me and goes, if I catch it, we're going home. He's like, you need to get rid of that. So I was like, well, I'm going to sit way over there by myself. And I saw somebody that I knew, and I was like, "You have a car here?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "When you leave, let me know. I need a ride to pick up my car. I'm not walking back with these fools." And these people proceeded to have a good time, and I sat there kind of crabby and drank, and like tried to dissipate because like you could see that it traveled. Like we picked up that broad's attitude,
Yeah.
and when you realize how much people let other people's energy affect them, like I stopped swearing at cars on the road. I used to be a pretty aggressive driver. I still am aggressive. Like I take my spot. I'm from Detroit, but right, you drive like you're from the D. But like I'm not like you asshole, get out of my way. I'm like, hope you got something important to do. Like, hope there's not an emergency. I just don't. It takes quite a bit to ruffle me and get me really upset. And then I was upset on Girls' Weekend. Something did ruffle me, and I took myself to a timeout. I did. I put myself straight up in timeout. Like, I can't answer these texts. I need to go and woosah. You know? I mean, I step away because I'm just like, okay, I'm also kind of a dirty fighter, and I hurt people's feelings. So I need to not always do that. I don't want to resort to that. You know what I mean? So we all have these human traits. None of us are great at this. I mean, there's some people out there who live on light and don't eat, but I'm
What's
not
up?
one. So I just really, I'm asking everybody to be open minded, look into a little bit of it, find something that works for you. You want to wander out and go hug a tree? Because that's the same thing. It's the same thing. You're exchanging energy with the universe. Like, you want, like I said, go to church. If that community and that structure of things makes you feel full, like your heart is full, and you think that many things are possible, and like you leave better for it.
Do it.
But if you're looking for something, if you're like, church isn't me, I don't like the outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
um, then it's just, we all need to try something. Try something. Be better, people. Do better. Dream a bigger dream. Like, let's pull it together for humanity's sake. I mean, am I wrong?
Nope. Sounds good to me.
So, if you have any questions, if you're as confused as ever, I mean, I guess you can comment on YouTube. I don't know how these things work. But I don't feel like there's too many people out there watching our podcast who are not like in our Facebook group. So you can post questions, or there's always group meditation. There's, you know, finding power in numbers, and like, uh oh, hey.
Low power mode.
Low power mode. All right, well, we'll wrap this up. But honestly, like, let's band together for humanity and I'll do our little bit of the part, because it's not that big of a deal if it's just you and you're just working on you, and contribute to the collective good and the positivity of man. I mean, I'm less patriotic these days to my country, and I'm just pro humanity. I think we can heal us. I think we can like take care of us, and I think that we can, you know, people talk about a lot of concepts that people think are crazy, but I think if the collective conscious exists, it's going to benefit from all of us being as personally positive and personally um,
On a good spiritual path.
yeah, I think we all need to put in our work, and I think that love's the only thing that we can really count on. Love and good energy and positivity and that good stuff. So, I'm going to attach a little burning episode that we did. We did a, I called it Burn Your Bullshit on Girls Weekend. So we wrote down all of our like anxieties and our problems and the things that no longer serve us and the things that we want to get rid of off of our conscience. And we bought a bunch of cool sage and different herbs and created a big fire, and we taped it. So we're going to attach that at the end of this video. And we hope that everybody feels encouraged by this. We're not trying to like doom and gloom, obviously. But let's all stay positive together and get our shit together. Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
All right. Love you.
Love you.
Coming to you from an undisclosed location in northern Michigan. Oh. I can always edit. Alright, so we are shooting a special episode tonight from up north. Lynn's behind the camera because that's what we're doing today. So, do we want to talk about energy work, like, and all that? Do you want me to do that, or
let's do the fire first, and then if we can
just do the fire and we can take that later?
Yeah.
Together? Okay. So we built a fire, and we intend on setting free to the universe all of our negative intentions and all of our things that don't serve us anymore, things we want to get rid of and release to the frickin' universe that we don't want to deal with and that we don't know what to do with, because we want solutions to present themselves and be open and abundant to new things. And we want to be aware, because you draw in your, like, intentions draw in your experiences. So if we set good intentions, we can then lead to good experiences. So I did buy a little bit of witchy stuff at the metaphysical shop up here, up north. What was it called? Orion and the Stone Unicorn. Mm-hmm. We had fun there. We spent too much money.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do any of this. We did this because we wanted to have a really good cleansing trip and a good experience. And we were trying to, I don't know, amp up the good energy. So I saved a little bit in our bowl, and everybody's going to put a little bit with their papers that they've written on. So we've written down all our problems and all the things that we want to get rid of, and the things we need to work on, and the things we hope for. Not just negative things, but good things too. Things we want them to resolve themselves. So I don't know who wants to go first, but I mean, we can have a volunteer from the audience.
Trees first.
She's not ready.
No, she is. She's not ready.
Here she comes. Miss America.
So put it with your papers. Throw them all in there together. You got your papers? Here, I'll come help you. I'll hold the cauldron. We bought a cauldron at the store too. Well, I did. Alright. Yeah, I'll sprinkle it in here for you. There you go. Burn that shit.
Burn that shit.
Find a spot.
Ooh.
They'll go in. You don't mind if I touch your papers, right? Okay. Here, I'll go next because Tay's got mine in her hand.
Like triple fisted with
We got it.
with wishes.
Yours were all nicely folded.
Okay. Tay wants to go next. positive results to all our life problems. Because we deserve it. And we have good intentions. And the universe will provide for all of us. Because we
And?
want to be better.
You up?
We want to do better. Making sure they all go in there for you girls.
Court, I'm gonna throw mine in because Rob's fire sucks.
You're going to throw yours into Rob's? It's Tanya's turn.
Yeah, well, I gotta light him because Rob's fire sucks, so.
That's okay. Put them in a fucking ashtray, girl.
Yeah.
Put them in an ashtray.
Get all of Angie's.
We have somebody on Facebook
Can we
Live
hold that
who
so you
was
can go?
unable to be here for the official burning, so she's burning at home. We came to Girls Weekend to be cleansed of all the bullshit. All the bullshit.
Hey,
Gotta throw the whole bag in
I
too.
did.
Sure. Whatever your heart desires.
hey, I just did it.
Shove them in there. Burn them.
Take that.
Stop dwelling on our problems. Everybody went?
Yep.
Buck went? Yeah. We're not going to dwell on this shit. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust on this shit. Universe needs to provide us with a solution. To provide us with a way. Ooh. If you guys want to inhale this, you might want to stand on this side of the
I know.
That smells so good.
All right, thanks for joining us for our burn session on the camera. We love you.
Love you.
Turn that shit